back to Norsley TV.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here. Well, I've never been at Norsley TV. I've tuned in on a Monday evening, the highlight of my week, and now I'm here on set. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for filling in. Rabbi Guttentag, unfortunately, wasn't able to join us this evening, and we know you're out there on the road a lot, interviewing amazing people and doing a lot of research and energy. Really appreciate all the efforts that you do. So thank you for being here in person.
I feel like I've had a promotion. Here I am, right in the studio.
Don't get too comfortable.
Okay.
But so we have a new feature that we are introducing to Norsley TV. It's called Lockdown Literature.
Well, now I know why you've hired me.
I know you like to read.
I do.
But we're also doing fiction, along with Martin Kay. Many of you know him and have seen perhaps his lecture with Limud. He recommended 20 books you must read. And so with Martin Kay, he's going to give us some advice, some reviews on different books. And we actually want to hear from you as well. If you have any recommendation, any books that you want to tell us about, please email me at rabbanit@hess.org.uk.
Well, that's exciting. What's your first book, Rabbanit?
Oh, so before we get there, I want to just give you an exciting warm-up to all this, is because there's going to be giveaways. Prizes.
Giveaways, nice.
Yes. So as we discuss a book, you'll have to answer some questions from the book that we discussed, and then if you get them right, you email me, rabbanit@hess.org.uk, and we will have that book giveaway. So stay tuned, watch this space.
Nice. Well, I do hope that the competition's open to employees and their families, because it sounds exciting.
Yeah, well, we have to still fine-tune the details, so we'll get back to you on that one. But meanwhile, Martin recommends this new book that has not been published here in the UK yet, called On Division by Goldie Goldblum. And it's a fiction about the Haredi life. And it's actually a page-turner. I'm getting into it, and it's unlike Orthodox. Or Unorthodox, the Netflix film, gave you a little bit of a skewed view of what, although it was fiction as well, but based on their lifestyle, it gives a little nice spin on their life, on their lifestyle, because it gives her view. She's a Hasidic woman, mother of 8, who writes this book, and I think it's quite interesting. So, looking forward to discussing that further. So, yeah, talking about new features, tonight we have a new reporter with us, Simone Halfine.
Simone Halfine, wow, well that's not a new reporter to Norsley TV, perhaps.
Correct. Because
I think she's a bit of a household name.
Absolutely, a freelance news reporter for Radio Jackie, as
well as the Norris leader.
Yes, a very well HESS member, and she you know what? She did an amazing thing. We went together to the largest vaccine hub in the UK. Many of you might have seen it on Panorama, but you won't want to miss this. This is right here, getting the real deal. So we are live on location with Norsley TV right here in Dr. Harverd at the Temple Fortune Health Center. And we have Simone Halfine with us, who's a freelance news reporter with Radio Jackie. So, Simone, go ahead.
First of all, thank you so much for seeing both of us today, because it's such a busy schedule for you, I'm afraid. And Temple Fortune Centre must feel like second home for you.
First home. I spend more time here than I do at my home, and have done for the last 24 years.
And you started off here?
I started off here as an embryonic GP, took a leap of faith, and I think probably what I did then nobody else would have done, but I saw the writing on the wall and signed on the dotted line, signed lots of contracts, and 24 years later I'm still here. I'll be here till the end. I'll probably be found slouched under my desk and they'll say, oh dear, she worked herself to the bone.
I hope it's a very long time ahead.
Yeah, I hope so.
There are actually two sides, aren't there? Because when we joined here, when we moved here, we were with Dr. Bachman, who's retired now.
Yeah, so the history of the practices, there's always been 2 practices here, and we work incredibly collaboratively. I actually started my life on the other side, as we call it, although that wall there is the division. So Lawrence Buttman worked there, and actually when he would sneeze, I would call out gesund, because we can, or he had a loud sneeze. So I've had the privilege of being able to work on both sides of the practices, and then we've done various mergers with the business over the years. So we do have some shared business activities, and the vaccination programme is the perfect example of that.
I've got to ask you what PHGH stands for. Nobody seems to know.
Yeah, so when I moved from that side to this side, the 4 partners at the time were Peter Herbert, so H for Herbert, Page, Chris Page, and then G for Grossmark and H for Harvard. That was the other one. And then Page and Herbert left the partnership, although Peter still comes back to vaccinate. So it's really now just G and H, but we kept the PHGH because it just rolls.
That explains it.
So that's since 2006.
And how many doctors and patients do you have?
So on the PHGH side, we've got coming up to 12,000, and then the TFMG side, they've got about 7,000, so in total about 19,000. And I think most people don't realise that we are such a huge practice.
Gosh,
An enormous population, and we are busy here.
And I've never been upstairs. I was
there's a whole world upstairs.
Yeah, and at the moment, obviously, it's rather different. And this surgery was so far ahead in starting the vaccination programme. In fact, you're the envy of everybody around. Must have been a bit of a worry starting off.
I never worry about things because I'm an eternal optimist and always believe that these huge contracts that we take on board will all work out. It's not easy, it's not for the faint-hearted, but when the email came down to put in an expression of interest, I spoke to Karen, my partner, about it, and we thought we've got absolutely nothing to lose. And I think inherently we felt from a moral-based point of view, just to do for our patients, this was the best thing that we could do.
And is it easier with a Pfizer than, easier with AstraZeneca than the Pfizer?
Yeah, much easier to deliver. So we had Pfizer at the beginning. You have no say, you can't order AstraZeneca or Pfizer, you are just given on a weekly basis, or sometimes not even on a weekly basis. So there's a lot of unpredictability in the delivery. So late last night I was told that we're having a delivery tomorrow for Pfizer. I've not been able to have any Pfizer in the building for about 6 weeks now. So tomorrow I've got to be around when that delivery van arrives. Literally last minute I'll run over, because on Shabbat I always try and walk to work if I have to come to work. But obviously I've got to have my phone on me because the vaccines have to be moved from that delivery van straight into the fridge. I've got the key to the fridge around my neck. I sleep with it, I walk around with it. I'm a precious commodity. I probably need to insure myself a little bit more. And then on Sunday we go live to deliver over 1,000 Pfizer vaccines. Today we're doing AstraZeneca, and the bookings went out last night, so I was up till 1 getting the bookings going still for some of our vulnerable patients, because we need to get through those cohorts.
I did see the panorama, and I loved you likening it to Blue Peter.
Yeah. Yeah, so as I said to you before, Simone, I'm not a media flirt by any means, and I didn't go out there to be on the Panorama programme. They found me. I don't know how. Somebody was obviously incredibly tenacious. I didn't even know that I was speaking to Clive Myrie. It just went completely over my head. I was just focused on the vaccination programme. It was freezing cold that day. My dad had COVID that week. There was a carer waiting for me in the wings while he was interviewing me so that I could interview her for a carer role. So that I was like, my head was all over the place, but I think the fact I did it on the hoof was actually the beauty of it. And even at the end of the interview, I said to him, "Sorry, what was your name?" He said, "Clive." So I said, "Oh, I love 1-syllable names." And then it was only afterwards I walked in and I thought there was something so familiar about that guy, because I literally was plucked out of the tent just to go and have a quick word with him. He is fantastic. What a brilliant person. So I would love to have the opportunity to meet him again and just say that was probably the only time in your life whereby the person you're interviewing had no idea they were talking to, because he looks different in 3D and you see him in 2D.
I've got a slightly similar story. I was working at Richmond at the Literary Festival, and I was hanging around waiting for Anne Widdicombe to find time, and I was chatting to this bloke and said, can I interview you? And we did an interview, and afterwards I said to somebody, who's that? And they said, James Noherty. And I have seen him subsequently. We have a bit of a laugh about it. I had no idea who he was. Yeah. Anyway, one of the things I loved walking through was seeing Hatsola. That's really wonderful.
They've been incredible. So we've always had a close working relationship with Hatsola over the years, and what's amazing is that sometimes when I'm with a family and a member of the family is acutely unwell and I know that we need an ambulance, often my first question will be, if it's appropriate, do you want London Ambulance Service or Hatsola? And they all say Hatsola. And I've almost got them on automatic speed dial. I know their number off by heart. They are so responsive, and I can't remember how they ended up in the marquee vaccinating, but they're coming in their droves because they love it, and they love the fact that it's given them purpose as part of this whole process. They've obviously been in the front line seeing how unwell COVID patients have been, and back in March after Purim, when the community was just decimated by the virus, they were my go-to backup people. So when I was holding quite a lot of unwell people thinking, do I admit them, don't I admit them, I'd get Hatsola to go in and monitor them, just cast an eye over them and get that second opinion, because there was that whole worry about if you send people in, will they come out? And we still have that now as well in the second wave, but the whole management of treatments that we can give at home has slightly changed as well. So we have monitoring processes, so we are actually able to monitor people more at home. But at the beginning, it literally was the blind leading the blind, because nobody knew how to deal with this virus, and it just literally was a tornado of activity on the medical front, and we didn't know what we were dealing with, and people were so unwell, but in a very unusual way. Never seen anything like that before. So Hatsola were fantastic, and they still are. So total respect for them, and we've got a team of them downstairs. I think I've got 3 vaccinators downstairs now.
And mentally, I know you go back to your practice after you've been down in the marquee and you're seeing ordinary patients. Have you noticed whether there's been any mental instability as a result of all this?
In myself or in the patient?
In
everybody. Yeah, good question that. So as you said, number one, general practice has to continue. That's part of our contract to provide general medical services while we're running the vaccination programme. So that is incredibly challenging. So when I'm here, I literally am pulled from pillar to post when we're on vaccination day, because I'm down in the marquee, then I'm on call, then I've got to do a triage clinic. So today's a perfect example. I've got to do 2 hours downstairs, and I go straight into on-call, and I'll be probably flat out here till 7 p.m. We're seeing the full range of general practice complaints that we normally do coming through our triage clinics, and yes, there is a lot of mental health, unfortunately. People are coming forward, which is a good thing, and I think that's partly because it's got much less taboo during COVID era, and people just realise that they are struggling and are coming forward for help. So that I'm relieved, and even this week I've spoken to several teenagers who have been quite outstanding in the way that they've been able to discuss their difficulties with me. So I would always have a conversation with the mother first, then get consent to speak to the teenager, because a lot of them are under 16. They just need to be listened to, but they are struggling in their bedrooms, doing online learning, feeling socially isolated, and then follow on mood issues, anxiety issues. So it is a big worry, but we have processes in place whereby we can kickstart things to make sure that they get the help and support. And I thank them for saying it's the best thing that you've been able to pick up the phone or asked your mother to pick up the phone to the GP. My message is that if anybody is struggling out there with mental health issues, they must come forward and speak to their GP, or go through Jamie if it's in the Jewish community, or go through the shul. There's so many points of access, and there's online access as well to get just support, or some of these apps can help people manage their anxiety as well.
And on a slightly lighter note, if we can, you must have seen thousands of people. Have there been any funny incidents, anecdotes?
Yeah, I was just thinking last week when we were in the marquee, and it was actually the day that Panorama came, and there was this lovely vision of a little old lady who'd just been vaccinated, and she was in the observation time after the Pfizer vaccine, and she was cradling her little Nokia phone, which was probably about 25 years old. And part of the problems that we'd had accessing the elderly was that their phones couldn't receive the text message that we would say send to them to invite them, and she was holding it like her baby, and obviously looking at her day's messages, catching up from while she'd been in the marquee. So I went to question her about that, and I said, oh, that's such a beautiful vision to see you in your wheelchair with your carer cradling your Nokia. I said, did you get the text message from us asking to be invited? She said, oh no, and I know I need to get a proper iPhone. And I thought, you're fantastic. I said, you know what, I've got lots of elderly people in their 90s who've kept up with their IT, and actually you're not doing too badly even with your old Nokia. And she said, but what was amazing was that somebody ended up calling me to book me in for the appointment. So I said, well, there you go, our system works, because we have a fail-safe method, because we know that the Nokia phone can't cope with the IT. So that was something memorable. And otherwise, I think it's just been the relief, the tears, the sheer relief that people have had when they've come in, particularly that very first week in December when we went live. And actually we were doing it in the building then, so we had thousands of elderly people. We had to aerate the whole building. People were saying, where are all these elderly people from? We didn't know there were so many elderly people in NW11. It was amazing, but there were tears of joy and tears of relief, and people wept in the waiting room after they'd had their first vaccine. And for a lot of them, they hadn't been out their houses for months, and this was their first outing.
And you've had many volunteers, haven't you?
Yeah, volunteers are, every hour I get emailed with another person saying, please can I help, please can I help. So our arms are open and we need the help. You've seen the numbers downstairs. It's a huge project, and just to have volunteers marshalling. We've had people offering us food. On cold days when you're working flat out downstairs, your adrenaline's going, we're starving, hungry, we're dehydrated, and people from the synagogue and just in the local area have been delivering hot soup. Somebody bought a big vat so that we can heat the tomato soup on site for the volunteers and all the staff. So about 100 people are involved per programme of vaccinating. That's how big it is. So we've got a very complex rota, and we've got probably about 200 names on the team now.
I think you better get back to it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Lovely to chat.
This was really amazing. You said you were first on Panorama, but we at NLTV like to get local news, local HCSS members. I'm very proud of you and your team, and Yasher Koach continued work. And thank you.
Thank you. And it was my aim to be on Norrisley TV.
Yes, I know.
For 2021.
So thank you for joining us. You made it.
No, you see, it was an increment. I started Panorama and then I went up to Norrisley.
Awesome.
And I guess you were Radio Jackie, maybe.
Right. Well, now we did both. All right, let's go out and see what's going on. Okay.
Okay, so I know that you've got both the Pfizer and the AstraZeneca, and you're not giving second doses anymore. How effective are just the one dose?
Yeah, so good question. So initially when we started giving Pfizer back in December, we were allowed to give the second dose, and then national guidance came out that we were not allowed to. At that stage we didn't have any AstraZeneca, so there is a cohort of patients that have received their first Pfizer, which gives about 65% protection after the first one. There's quite a lot of uncertainty, and similar with the AstraZeneca, actually more on the Pfizer. At the moment it's a national directive that we are not allowed to give the second dose, so we just have to wait. I suspect that between all the various medical committees that 12 weeks delay for the second dose will be brought forward. But until it is brought forward, it's a national directive, we can't override it. So patients are emailing all the time, can I please 9 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever you can do. But at the moment we just can't push it.
So it's an absolute no-no for anything.
Yeah. Even a lot of healthcare professionals got caught out as well. So they had their first dose. They are working on intensive care in A&E, their frontline, and they also haven't had that second dose honoured. So it's a problem. By the time the AstraZeneca kicked in, the national directive was already set in stone. So all the patients, for example, today with just doing AstraZeneca, they know that they won't get their second dose for 12 weeks unless something happens. So it is what it is. The beast is bigger than us. It goes high up the hierarchy, all these decision making.
And there are hundreds of people passing through, I can see.
100 today, and Sunday we'll have over 1,000 doing Pfizer.
So how long are your days?
So when we do Pfizer, I'm normally here at 7:30 doing the preparation for the vials. So we've created a little laboratory upstairs, and you take the vials out, maybe 5 at a time. They go to room temperature. Then you have to rock them 10 times, add saline 1.8 mils, rock them again, withdraw 1.8 mils of air, and then that vial is ready to go, and then you have 6 hours in which to use it. So we also have to write down time the vial came out of the fridge, what time it was reconstituted, and then what the expiry time is as well. So there's a lot of watching of the clock and working out the flow of traffic coming through here, and making sure that not one dose will get wasted. Plus also it's now totally above board that we can use the 6th dose as well, because originally when the Pfizer came out we could only use 5 doses, and GPs are quite savvy when it comes to not missing out on things. So I remember doing the first vial, looking at it thinking, hold on, there's a 6th dose here, why is this going in the bin? And within a matter of hours on our national WhatsApp groups, we were saying, sorry, we're overriding this, we are delivering that 6th dose, because per pizza box of Pfizer, you can deliver an extra 195 doses. That's nearly 200 people's lives potentially saved from getting severe COVID. So we weren't going to say no to that, and now it's totally above board and legit.
I love the way you say pizza box full.
Yeah, well, it does. It looks like a pizza box. And then there's a garlic box, which is the smaller box of 15 vials, and that we use for care homes. So when we went to go and do care homes, which we actually did on Christmas Day, went into Sage and another care home down the road in Temple Fortune. So we use up this garlic box, which has a small amount of vials in it. So you have to see it, you have to touch it to realise why it's called the pizza
I'm
box.
stunned with admiration. Thank you, Leora.
So, Dr. Harris, this is an amazing operation going on here. How did you get involved? And tell us a little bit about what's going on, please.
Hi, good morning. My name is Martin Harris, and I'm a GP, a doctor working here at Temple Fortune Health Centre for the last 39 years. I've been a GP here and also a honorary consultant at Great Ormond Street. But this is different. While the surgeries are continuing within the building, this marquee area and the car park has been built up through Dr. Leora Harverd and Dr. Karen Grossmark. They have made a fantastic bid to get this going, a very big project, and they've done it very, very successfully. And as you can see, looking around, volunteers, everyone is a volunteer. In particular, the solid organisation, because with Pfizer, you need a 15-minute observation for any reaction, and they have got more experience than any of us doctors with regard to observation for anaphylaxis and its treatment. And we're very grateful for them for their enthusiasm on top of running the ambulance service as a first aid. So this is a very successful project. Kala kavod to Leora and to Karen.
Okay, so we're here with Martin Kay getting his first jab at the incredible site of Temple Fortune Health Center. And so we're going to interview him and ask him how his experience is. Okay, Martin. So, how long you've been here for a while?
I've been here for about 20 minutes, yes.
It's quite a busy...
It seems busy, but it seems well organised, and I'm not one to complain, you know that.
Absolutely. So it was you have volunteers guiding you through the line?
Yeah, everybody, every 5 yards you get pushed to the left, to the right, straight on, left.
Very well directed, huh?
Yes.
And so so you're waiting to get your first jab?
Apparently there's a needle down there just waiting for me.
How do you feel about that? Are you excited, nervous, finally?
Well, I'm pretty calm, yeah.
You're pretty calm.
Pretty calm.
You're looking forward to it?
Oh, absolutely,
So
yes.
you can come back to Saul?
Sorry?
So you can come back to shul?
Only after the second one.
Only after the second one.
So if the rabbi uses implements to get me a second shot straight away, then I'll be back to shul in a shot, as they say.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, we look forward to it. Good luck with the shot, and we look forward to seeing you in shul very soon.
I look forward to seeing you in shul as well.
Wow, wasn't that amazing?
It was. I think that there's an inner meaning behind this temple fortune. It's really a temple of good fortune to all of those people who have been vaccinated. You know, I call it halfway to freedom. And before we know it, it's light at the end of the tunnel, and we'll be back in shul, back having simchas. Amazing.
Well, you need to get Martin K that second jab to get him back.
Oh yeah. Dr. Harverd, do me a favor. Martin has said that he will not come back until he's had that second jab. Could you hold off for 3 years, please? Just kidding. Martin, we want you back tomorrow. You are everybody's favorite.
That's right. Never complaining. So really unbelievable. You know, just last night they vaccinated 1,200 people in one day.
That's
really
amazing.
You know, the volunteers, the doctors. We saw, you know, we heard from Dr. Harris, who's been with the practice for more than 30 years. You know, everybody's come down, you know, learned how to do the jab. Unbelievable, you know, the amount of effort. And, you know, Leora saw that this needed to be done. And she, along with her team, you know, said, okay, we're going to make this happen. Build these marquees. And really, really amazing stuff. So,
oh, thank you, Dr. Harverd, Dr. Roback, Dr. Myers. You know, I don't know if you know, Rabbi, I mean, we had they've even brought out their doctors from retirement. Earlier today, I was on a call with the Rabbinical Council of United Synagogue, and we heard from Dr. Lawrence Bachman, who was also there vaccinating. He thought he was done, and sure, he's there right back doing what he needs to do.
Right. I know Simone wanted to meet him, but she just missed him as we were there. She was looking out for him afterwards. But apparently I was speaking to another member who was there on Sunday, and he said it was like being in a shul kiddush, socially distanced though, because it was like amazing. Everybody was out there being, you know, seeing each other. So thank you for the opportunity for allowing us to see people in person. It was really special. You know, we missed that social, you know, gatherings, and it's hard. So, you know, and any opportunity, and this is a positive opportunity, bringing, like you say, freedom and positivity to hopefully this light at the end of this tunnel.
And Yashikov, to all of our doctors and nurses, members of the congregation and beyond, we know you're all working so hard, round the clock and beyond, volunteering your time, working extra hours just to make sure that the vaccine is rolled out as quickly as possible. Yashikov to you all.
Absolutely. And, you know, while it might have been on Panorama with Clive Murray, you know, it's interesting, it's funny that when Leora was saying she didn't even know who she was speaking to. But trust me, you know, when she spoke to me at Norris Lee TV, she knew who we were. So
that's right.
Definitely.
We all love Norris Lee TV.
No, she's our biggest fan. I know there are many of you out there, and really appreciate all your support and all your love. And, you know, we really hope that this is one way we can connect with you all. And God willing, we'll see you in person very, very soon. So really, this largest hub of vaccination is really amazing. You know, they're doing an amazing job in the UK. Right behind Israel. And actually, speaking of Israel, I interviewed Georgia Boroda, who is the Community Engagement Officer with the Embassy of Israel. Let's go over to her and see what she has to say.
So welcome, Georgia, from the Embassy, the Israeli Embassy. Welcome to Norris Lee TV.
Thank you so much for having me.
So Georgia, you are, what's your official title in the Embassy?
So I am the Community Engagement Officer.
That's right. Okay, wonderful. And so what is it? Can you tell us a little bit about that role, how you got involved in that, and what exactly it entails?
Yes, so the Community Engagement Officer predominantly works with, I guess in the title, the Jewish community, and making sure that to get a really good understanding of what's going on in the community, you know, in London where the embassy is, and of course throughout the whole country, you know, north and south, making sure that we're connected with the community, that we know what's happening, and that we can see where we can assist and help the community with things that are happening in Israel and all the expertise, and, you know, really establishing that strong connection between the Jewish people in the UK and the Jewish state. So yeah, I only recently started the role, I think about a month ago now. So and just really getting to know the community and all the communities. It's not saying the community in this, it's not really a homogenous and like one idea. There's so many different little communities, so many different like nuances and like cultural intricacies. But at the end of the day, just knowing that it's the fact that the Jewish community in the UK is such an established body and such an amazing community. So yeah, I've just really been trying to understand all the communal organisations, all the different synagogues, and all the different like amazing people that are part of the British Jewish community.
Oh, wonderful! It sounds like a very exciting job. So where are you from? How did you land this job? And yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, so I'm from Manchester, which is a very exotic place.
Yes.
Very inaccessible now, but yes.
We have a few of them here in London.
Sure. Everyone's a Mancunian expert.
Yeah. My husband actually was born there, so there you go.
Is he from North or South Manchester?
Oh, that's always the question he gets. And then he went to ask his mother to make sure he knew the answer. And I should know this by now, but I believe it's the north. Is that Prestwich?
Yeah, so I'm from Whitefield, which is in the north as well.
Okay.
And I actually went to study at the University of Birmingham, which is a very strong institution, especially in terms of a Jewish community. There's an incredible JSOC, a really strong Jewish different communal organisations, such as a Hillel House, and like all different events that go on throughout the years. And from that, I started to really get involved and explore my Jewish identity in a different way. I'd been to the Jewish school in Manchester pretty much all my life. So this was the first time it was almost a choice to like understand my Judaism and my community. I could either have just gone a completely different path and not really spoke about it or thought about it at university. But I was lucky enough at university that at Birmingham there was so many opportunities and so many different avenues to explore it. And I got really involved in the Union of Jewish Students, UJS, and I worked for them straight after university. And through that role, I mean, I was predominantly working with students, but just peripherally, I got a really amazing understanding of the Jewish community and of the different charities and organisations. And I really wanted to have, it's a one-year role there, and I really wanted my next role to still be connected to all that. And then also, of course, pursue advocacy for Israel. And then this job just seems to be the perfect mix of the two.
Oh, wonderful. Yes, I mean, we have quite a few of our members in Hampstead Garden Suburb that attended, currently attend Birmingham. So I'm involved in JSOC, quite a few of them. So I'm sure there's a crossover there. And we know that the work that they do is really amazing for the students. And for Israel to make that connection. So Yasher Koach, and to be able to bring you to the embassy, that's really something special. So tell us, how can we be more engaged with Israel? I mean, how do you see the role of the community where do we play in all this with the community engagement piece?
So I think what's really exciting is the different ways that communities can be involved with the state of Israel. A lot of people focus on the politics, but what's so exciting is the different cultural elements. Synagogues, communities can get involved in understanding the different minorities in Israel, because there's such diversity in the types of Judaism, whether that's denominational, whether that's ethnic, and it's also a real melting pot when it comes to different Jewish identities. So it's amazing for synagogues to engage with all the different types of Judaisms and Jewish practices in Israel, understanding all their amazing work in progressing, universal themes such as defeating climate change. Israel's really leading on things like that, and I think that's as Tikkun Olam is such an important part of Jewish identity and being part of the community. And I think all the incredible work with Israeli NGOs to help defeat climate change is a really exciting and new way for the diaspora's communities to engage with the Jewish state. I think there's so many opportunities these days.
Absolutely. I mean, we are definitely connected to the state of Israel. I know we have a lot of members that fly often, although during the current state, it's really tough. I mean, which brings me to, you started a month ago. Where do you even begin during COVID in trying to engage with community that, via Zoom. I mean, we have a great opportunity here with NLTV, but how can we be more engaged with Israel without being actually present there?
Do you know what, of course it's such a shame, and I would love to be visiting the communities, and obviously I would love for myself included and all of the British Jews to be able to go on holiday and to visit Israel, and hopefully soon with the amazing vaccine rollout. Hopefully we're not too far away from that. But the fact that there is Zoom and people aren't able to leave the house, I think that again opens so many more opportunities. I mean, it's a small time difference, but the fact that people are so able to reach out to incredible Israeli speakers and communities, and where it would be like impossible, logistically really difficult to get people to come and speak. Now it's just the fact everything's online. I think it's almost, we can really see it as a really cool opportunity and a really good chance to get to know the different countries and to get a really good understanding of people there, because there's nothing else to do and it's easy online.
Absolutely. In the second lockdown, I think it was, or maybe even the first, when Israel was still, we were able still to walk there. We were able to do a Jerusalem tour, a live Jerusalem tour with Stand With Us. And they literally went around, the old city and gave us a tour, which was amazing. We felt like we were there, and they brought us to the Western Wall at the end. And it was something really special. Even though we weren't there physically, we felt connected. And it was around the time of, the 9th of Av, Tisha B'Av, so it was really meaningful at the same time. So absolutely, there are ways that many of us have tried to find to be able to connect.
Community, because it would be very unlikely for the whole community to be able to go to the Kotel and to go see Jerusalem together, but the fact that everyone can log onto the Zoom and the tours there, what an amazing thing to share together. That's really cool.
Right. Yeah, there was. So you have opportunities like that, or speakers that you can bring to us to be able to connect with the state of Israel?
I mean, absolutely. We can discuss it more after, different ways. Okay. And engage in incredible speakers. There's just so many different avenues that Israel wants to promote and that Israel's so proud of, and particularly to the Jewish community. I think the Jewish community are, of course, natural allies and natural ambassadors in a way for the state of Israel. So I think it'd be really cool to make sure that all the different ideas and all the different projects that are happening in Israel, the Jewish community are well informed of and they feel a part of. So yeah, we could definitely discuss it in more detail.
For sure. I mean, I know they're definitely, spearheading the vaccine. They're leading the way in ensuring that their country is well protected. And I think there was a report the other day that the UK is not too far behind. So they are an incredible state of their own, and of course we're always so proud to be connected to it and be part of it in virtually and hopefully physically very soon. So thank you very much for everything, for joining the team. It's a real tribute to you, and we hope that we look forward to connecting and having opportunities to be able to be engaged with the embassy here, as well as with Israel.
Thank you so much for having me, and yeah, I really look forward to doing more in the future together.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
That was a fascinating interview. Look at this young lady who has applied her activism that she built, strengthened on campus, and now has said, what can I do to invest in the Jewish people? Serving at the embassy, connecting with Anglo Jewry. There's somebody who's really going to go places and dedicate her life to service of the community.
Yeah, absolutely. And we look forward to connecting with her and with the speakers that she has to offer us, and really make our connection with Israel. Many of us can't be there physically now, but at least virtually, to be able to connect Israel with HGSS. So we look forward to watch this space as well for that. It's so wonderful that we have so many engagements in our community. And this is a little new feature that we are also introducing. So many new features for the month of February, the 1st of February. I can't believe it's February already. Can you believe it's February already? Wow. And we have Rabbi Guttentag interviewing one of those couples. Saul Nagus and Lizzie Green, both suburb residents.
Wow.
TV. I'm delighted to welcome live to the studio Saul Nagus and Lizzie Green. Now, first of all, mazel tov to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Engaged a couple of months ago. I still remember the party, which at that time was allowed up to 30 people. And then the next day, such parties were banned. So you got your engagement in there.
Yeah, we got 150 people in total. We had slots the entire day.
So. I remember, yes. I remember Stephanie saying, come at that time and leave straight after. And first, it was amazing because it was a catered function, which I hadn't been to for 6 months. And I've not been to one since. So you've actually given me a lot of hope. You know.
Yeah, a lot of my friends at the time messaged me saying there's a lot of pressure because it's the only social engagement of the year. So
I think you planned it. How long? How many days in advance could you plan that?
About
a week.
Yeah, something like that.
And then the next day they banned it. I remember it's so much change. I can't remember exactly when it was, but
we were so lucky. And, you know, it was such beautiful weather, and we got to see all our friends and family. So it was really great. And
it was nice and local. It's wonderful to see a local shidduch. Two garden suburb
we
residents.
didn't know each other.
Sorry?
We didn't actually know each other before, despite living a few minutes away from each other.
But when did you meet, if you don't mind me asking?
About 2 years ago now, on New Year's Eve of 2018 and 19.
We didn't actually talk that night, though.
No.
No.
But I asked her friend for her number.
The New Year's Eve party that I wasn't that keen on. And I said, okay, I've got to stay to midnight. So I left at 12:01. And then got home, and then my friend messaged me the next day saying Saul Nagus was there. He really wants to ask you on a date. That was that.
Well, your friend obviously knows you and knows what's best for you.
Yeah, she's got one of 3 shidduchs now, so she's working her way.
Good. Well, that's wonderful. So when did you get engaged? Was it August?
August bank holiday.
Yeah, I remember. It was lovely.
Yeah.
So what are your wedding plans, or you just don't know?
So we're hoping for October 31st later this year. We had hoped for June originally, but then as sort of the winter became what it was, we've delayed it. And I think, you know,
we're hoping for then.
Yeah, we're hoping for then. We're just going to keep assessing the situation, I guess, as it comes towards it.
Does that worry you? That hopefully we'll get married in October?
It would have been nicer to have like a set date, like back in the olden days.
Yeah.
when we would have known when we're getting married. And I guess it depends. Like ideally, we don't want a 30-person wedding. We'd like a proper or as near to proper wedding as we can get. So I guess we'll just reassess in about May, June and see what the situation is.
Yeah, and it's just...
Let me ask you this: if you're told a month or two before the wedding you're only allowed a maximum of 30, because this has happened back in August.
Yeah, my mom keeps asking that.
So some couples decided to put it off for another year, and they're still doing that, while others like, no, I just want to get married and get on with it. What's your take on that?
I think if we found out that it would be 30 persons if we got married tomorrow. But if we waited like 2 months, we could have more. We'd wait. But if it was like a year, then no, we'd have it.
Yeah, it depends whether or not there's an end in sight to the restrictions.
Right. Okay. Well, I just hope that you feel you always make the right decision. I think that's the hardest part, the uncertainty.
Yeah.
And I've seen that with couples like, okay, should we put it off? Okay, they put it off, and then they're told actually they can't do it at all. So now they regret not doing the 31 in August. It's very hard. And
yeah, it is, but we're hoping, I mean, with the whole vaccine thing.
Well, did you see last night I read that the New York mayor, he said that 150 people now at weddings in New York. So
oh, really?
He ruled that last night.
So yeah, so we're hoping that that's...
You can always nip over there, quarantine for 2 weeks, get married, come back quarantine for 2 weeks. You know,
plenty of people that did the Dubai weddings, that have done Gibraltar weddings.
We're having weddings here.
But it keeps changing though. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We were saying actually about the engagement party, because it had to be in slots. It actually made it so much nicer, because we got to chat properly with each of the people.
Yeah, you give your guests individual time, etc. And you know, if you had a l'chaim with every single one of them, I can't imagine how you got home afterwards. Well, Lizzie, it was in your home, wasn't it?
Yeah. And it stretched it out and made the day much nicer in a way, because instead of like a 2-hour party, it was about a 10-hour party.
Yeah.
Did you get a break because you had to be on good form all day, welcoming people?
3-minute breaks.
Yeah, and that's when we had our snacks, and make we
Must have been pressing all day, Saul.
Yeah, it was very hard, but at the same time it was good because we had lots to drink, lots to eat. It was a really great day.
Yeah.
Oh, it's lovely.
Yeah.
So what are your long-term plans after you get married? Please God, in good time. Where do you plan on living? You're going to stay local?
Well, maybe local at some point, but at the moment we're thinking sort of Hendon way.
Oh, I've been there.
It's a place that people have heard of, and just because that's where a lot of our friends live, so for Shabbat it's so much easier, but it also means it's close enough that we can come home back to Norris Lee for Shabbat and for Chag as well.
Right, well that won't be home anymore, your house.
Yeah.
No.
Yes, I know. I keep
Crossing back into territory.
Yeah, but it's odd to think that it won't be home, but I guess you always think of it as
You're building your own home together, and we wish you much blessing with that.
Yeah.
So what are you most excited about? Or you're just not thinking of that because you're not sure?
Going with my best friend, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And my mum we have a magnet on the fridge, and it says the best marriage is when you marry your best friend, and that's what we have.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, and I've always wanted
really
to emulate.
so nice. Oh, sorry, I lost you there. What did you say?
I've always wanted to emulate that magnet and what it says, and thankfully we found that.
That is so beautiful. I can see it between you. It's lovely. And, look, on behalf of the entire community, we wish you a huge mazel tov.
Thank you very much.
Everything goes, and you're right. Look, you'd always be friends, regardless of how the wedding turns out. When it will be, how it will be. And I just hope that you always be happy together for 120 years.
Thank you very much.
And maybe we'll invite you back, please God, for NLTV when you make a big kiddish for your 50th wedding anniversary. I look forward to that.
Yes, that's right.
It's like one mind.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for joining, and mazel tov.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
See you at the wedding.
Great. What a great couple.
Yeah, lovely to meet them, and looking forward to their wedding. It's going to happen October, very soon. Look at this. We're going to be vaccinated. We're going to be out and about sharing simchas, kosher simchas, and everything's going to be wonderful.
Yes, absolutely. And there's nothing like a big simcha coming together. We continue with our weekly programming, with the shirim online, available virtually, and the Kabbalat Shabbat, Freilach Fever as they call it now. And you have your Chavrusa learning this week, right?
Yeah, this week we continue the monthly session in memory of Rabbi Sachs. I am in conversation on Wednesday with Rabbi Pinny Hackenbrach of Woodside Park United Synagogue. Now, we're going to be talking about probably Rabbi Sachs's most famous book, The Dignity of Difference.
Controversial book, perhaps?
Well, I think we're going to be looking at the second edition.
Okay.
But it does promise to be an exciting, interesting discussion. Please do join us. But you've got an exciting conversation coming up next week.
Yes, I do. We're continuing with our Inspirational Women series, where we feature one inspirational woman once a month around Rosh Chodesh. So next month, on February 11th, is Rosh Chodesh Adar already. Purim is around the corner. And so we meet Rebbetzin Slavi Jungreis Wolf, who's the daughter of Rebbetzin Esther Jungreis.
Of the Committed Life fame, the Committed Marriage.
Yeah, many of you might have heard of her, the Holocaust survivor who just left us just a few years ago. A fascinating, powerful woman. She'll be talking to Rachla and I on the 11th of February on Thursday evening, and really talking about connecting our past to our future. So we look forward to seeing that.
Oh, very exciting.
So thank you very much for joining us, Rabbi Friedman. We hope Rabbi Guntag is going to return next week. But you know what? I think we can actually sit a little closer next time. Although we don't have to be socially distant.
We're not even wearing masks.
Exactly, but and not on Zoom. And so it's a pleasure to see you, being with you, and see you next week.